Do you struggle with finding money for wildlife photography? Well, you're definitely not alone. This is something that everybody has to deal with. Wildlife photography is very pricey, and the demands for gear is huge if you want to come home with wall hanger shots. So in this video, I'll share some ideas on how you can best spend your money if you're starting out in wildlife photography, and when you don't have the amount of money that will give you the best gear, and in general, just how to think about using your money in a way so you don't waste them on having the wrong approach or mindset on what type of gear you need. It's a struggle to balance that with all the other things that we end up spending money on. Maybe you have a car, you need to pay the mortgage, everything is getting more expensive. You need a laptop or a computer to edit your photos, that's not cheap either. Maybe you have to pay for your kids' education. You have to get a holiday with your family. So things add up quite fast, and the amount of money that we have left is maybe not something that fits with the budget you need for taking world-class photos. I'll be honest with you, you can't expect to come home with wall hanger shots on the cheapest gear. Gear matters in wildlife photography. I know it's a common cliche that it's not the gear, it's the photographer, and we'll come back to that. But just to set the expectations a little bit, I think that in order to get home with great shots, we need to be able to put ourselves in the right position to get those shots. And some of it is skills, which I'll come back to, but some of it is also the gear. You know, we have gear should be able to focus well on your subject. And if you choose a budget or the most affordable camera, then the focus will likely not be what you hope for. And the same with the lens. If you choose a budget lens, then it might not be sharp until the sweet spot of the lens might be at f8, which my first wildlife photography lens was like that. We need to keep that in mind. And that's why we also need to invest our money in a way that gives us the best results long term. When I first started out doing photography in general, I was mostly into landscape, and I was living in a city. So I went to I think it was a cemetery. It's a very beautiful cemetery. And I tried to take some shots there. It was one of my first photography sessions. And then I met another photographer, and I was very curious what he was shooting with. Now, I was shooting with the Nikon D7100, and by chance, he was also using the Nikon 7100. When I asked him how long he's been shooting with this camera, he said, it's brand new. He previously bought, I can't remember the model's name, but this was his 5th camera. And this was my first camera. If you think about where you start, which camera you get from the beginning, if you aim at too budgety model, then you'll end up spending way more money, as you have to, it doesn't have this feature, so you upgrade to the next one, and then, no, I missed this feature, the next feature. Or you'll always be chasing another model that's just one tiny bit better. And if you add up those costs, then it gets pricey really fast. So I think the wise way to spend money is that you aim for a camera a level above your current needs. So instead of getting the cheapest model, then look a little bit above and know that you can be satisfied with this camera for 5 years. So you don't have to buy a new camera every year. It's a terrible waste of resources, and if the camera you switch to, if it doesn't really allow you to do something different, then it's a waste of money. Let's say that you buy a cheap camera and the noise handling is terrible. If you upgrade, make sure that you upgrade to a model that allows you to shoot half an hour earlier because it has great noise handling. Or if you start with a camera where the focus motor isn't that good, I suggest that when you're thinking about upgrading, you choose a model where the focus motor is faster, quicker, and you can nail those birds in flight shots that you couldn't do before. The thing is, why don't start there? You saved all the money from buying the first model. So that's how I want you to think when buying new gear. Start a level above your current needs. And you also get the shots you imagine or you have vision that you can capture. You get those shots earlier because you can have success. When I first bought the Nikon Z6 II, I had a really hard time nailing those birds in flight shots. When the light was dim, I missed those shots, so I came home empty-handed. When I was photographing from height, it was perfect. I could get close to the subject, and the subject would sit still for a second or two. That's perfect. But those incoming bird shots where they're just about to land, I couldn't nail the focus. So I missed those shots. When I switched to the Nikon Z8, birds in flight shots were perfectly achievable on my first photo session. So there's a huge shift in what type of shots you can get by just choosing the proper camera. The Nikon Z8 wasn't out when I bought it, fair enough. But still, I want you to, when you're choosing between camera models that is available, think about which type of shots it enables you to do and which you have to just say, okay, I cannot take that kind of shots. And either you accept it or you spend the extra money on getting a camera body that's just one level above. So you get success faster and you save the money on a camera that you need to replace in like a year. Also, when it comes to the lens, with the same principle, buying one level above your current needs, but keeping that lens for a longer time. So if I was starting over and needing a lens for wildlife photography, first of all, I would focus on getting one lens that would cover my needs. And secondly, I would probably go with a prime lens because they are sharper, and I think sometimes a zoom lens makes you a little bit lazy. Once I switched to prime lens, to using a prime lens, the 400mm f5 4.5, it's a huge step up from the Tamron 150 to 600mm lens I had before. I know it's not the same price range, but it enables me to get sharper photos and also shoot when like half an hour earlier than I could. The Tamron lens is not sharp until f8, really sharp, and the Nikon Z 400mm f4.5 like is way beyond that. So you get sharper lenses, you get more light, and you're able to shoot half an hour earlier or half an hour later in the day when the light is really great. Now, in the beginning, there's something way more important than gear, and that's building your skills. And the great thing is, this is actually free. So you can start with whatever gear you have. One camera, one lens. You don't need 3 lenses. Start with one lens. And then you also don't need a tripod if you want to save that money. Going handheld is much faster, and if you watch one of my other videos, I'll show you how you can master handheld photography. Check it out if you don't want to spend money on a tripod. Anyway, I want you to focus on building your skills, because no matter if you get a gear combo at like $10,000, it won't really help you take better photos if you don't know how to. There are a lot of other skills that you need to built before, like composition and learning to use the light and how to get closer to animals. Because no matter what zoom lens you have, if you're not close enough to the subject, then it's a throwaway photo. So you don't want that. Then you need to learn the skill of getting closer to animals before investing in good gear. Don't let gear hold you back. Of course, you need at least one camera and one lens, but don't let it ruin your enjoyment of getting out. Now, another thing that I often hear or see photographers waste money on is going on expensive trips. You don't need that if you're just starting out, or if you're struggling to get enough money for the gear. There's no need to go to Kenya or Botswana or wherever. Start local. It's cheaper, it's free actually. And Serengeti is crowded enough already with like 80 jeeps per cheetah or something like that. You'll not get the shots you need. And if you don't even know how to properly use the camera, it's definitely a waste of money. You can get so many beautiful experiences in your own neighborhood. And neighborhood is like within 1 hour or 2 hours, maybe just 5 minutes on a bike. I've been doing that for years, and it's really helped me improve my skills. And this also means that when I upgraded my gear, I could make use of it. I think many photographers have this mindset of buying gear and then the skills will follow, but it's the other way around actually. If you build your skills, your images will become better, and this means you can justify spending extra money, or actually money, you'll be able to make a little bit of money from your photography and build on from there. And that's way better in being the guy that spent $10,000 and only coming home with 1,000 wasted shots from every session. It sounds a bit harsh maybe, but I think that's the way it is. You need to build your skills and then invest in high quality gear, or the very top gear. So to summarize, buy gear one level above your current needs and skip on all the intermediate cameras, because that's what is actually eating up your budget. And then start locally and build your skills. That's the cheapest way to do wildlife on a budget. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. So see you in the next one. Take care.